threat system. That's part of the old brain, the reptilian brain. But it activates this threat system in this part of the brain, in the amygdala. But that has a huge physiological response in your body. All sorts of stuff happens here. Now, if you think about your fight or flight, you kind of still need it, right? It's not maybe needed for the kind of things that we're responding to in a certain way, but it's there designed to keep you safe, essentially. The kind of, if you think about, I said the reptilian brain, but it kind of goes back to the time when we were, hunter gatherers, looking for food, sleeping, in vulnerable positions. So it was, if, an animal was trying to attack us, like a lion is chasing you, you want to be able to be activated to kind of get away from that lion or tiger. So that's what the system was designed for in your brain, was to kind of keep you safe. However, the world has moved at such a pace that when this is triggered like the same way as if a tiger's like chasing you, but you've just had a thought about dying, but your body reacts the same way. So that's why you sometimes might feel like absolutely shattered, because you might be in this response quite a lot. So what does this response do? What does it feel like? And it's fairly consistent, but some people go into fight, or some people go into fight or flight. Did I say that right way there? I think so. There is other elements to this, right? So there's flight, or freeze. It's easy for you to say. And fawn, right? So I'm not going to get into them in too much detail just now, because there's a lot of psychology attached to these things. But what I want to tell you about is the kind of biological responses to these thoughts and how powerful your mind is. Because once you understand how powerful your mind actually is, then you can change how your body responds, because you can start interrupting the thought processes. What's really interesting is one of the things that happens when your body is, when your threat system is activated, is this represses your immune system. So actually being stressed is not good for you. It's particularly now when we're talking about our immune system, being able to fight off viruses and things like that. We want our immune system to be absolutely flourishing. So that, I'm just going to move this over a wee bit. Okay. Oh, you can see that. Aye, that would be good. Let's see if I can put that over here like that. So, your heart, that's usually the first thing people notice, is the heart starts to beat really fast. And what that's doing is it's sending lots of blood out into the extremities, into the hands, into the feet, because it's getting ready to fight or flight, so that it needs lots of energy for that. You might start to notice that you start sweating, and what you're starting to do is that within the lungs, you're kind of shallow and faster breathing. So the body's really preparing for that. And you might be familiar when somebody's maybe having a panic attack. That's how you might see that kind of manifest. What's really important is what happens hormonally here. So cortisol and adrenaline start pumping into your system. So that is stress hormones, essentially. So they're hormones that are pumping through your bloodstream, making all this stuff happen, all because we had a thought. How crazy is that? Did you know that? Let's see. Oh. And also, yeah, your pancreas. So, like, everything is in overdrive here. So this fight or flight response is kind of what we want to get into check, right? So I've put here a wee bit more. So this is the next level of what is happening in your body right now. I'm not going to give you a biology lesson, but the simple way to think about it. There we go. So I type one that. There you go. Okay, so so the diabetes and the fight or flight is, so looking after that soothe system is vital to health, absolutely vital to health. So let's simplify it, right? So what we're talking about is two systems, a threat system and a soothe system. So the technical name for this is your sympathetic and your parasympathetic system. But I'm going to talk about them as your threat and your soothe, because I think that's a wee bit easier to say and a bit easier to remember. So, that what if thought is triggered your anxiety response, and then it's triggered your threat system. So all that stuff's happening. But you've also got another system, called your parasympathetic, right? So that's your soothe system. So see when you're not stressed and you're relaxed, that starts to take down all those things. So then the stress hormones are not being produced, the body starts to relax, the lungs can relax, which is really, again, important with all this stuff that we're talking about just now. Being relaxed feels a wee bit strange when you're stressed, doesn't it? And you've got to work kind of hard at it. And usually when we're in a state of stress, we just keep being in a state of stress until somebody says, are you all right? But actually, you know, it's kind of your duty now that I'm imparting this information to you, that this is something that you're going to work on. This is something that you're going to help change your own kind of thought process and your biological responses, because you have two systems here. You can choose which one you want to have activated, and if the threat system is activated, you can easily bring back your relax system. And I'm going to show you a couple of tools in terms of how to do that. Let's see. I want to talk a wee bit about how all this affects you, right? And this is probably, this is the first time I presented this information in this way, but I think it's really important to understand that, you know, your mind is really, really powerful, and what you feed it, your mind, in terms of your thoughts and what you allow it to kind of run away with, it does have an impact. So, for example, if you're feeling stressed, these are the kind of things just now that you might be experiencing. So headache, feeling tired, you know, just that kind of fatigue, body fatigue, having difficulty sleeping, being easily upset, you know, problems with your stomach, or just general kind of irritability where, you know, you can just fly off the handle like that. That's you being in a state of stress.